Welcome back. In part 1, we set up Unity, created a 2D project, added the ground of the bird, and wrote a tiny script so the bird flaps when we press space. Today we will go a bit farther. We're going to build pipe obstacles, we're going to make the pipes scroll across the screen, and we're going to detect collisions and lock GameOver when the bird hits the ground or the pipe. Let's start. Alright, let's create our pipe obstacle. A top pipe, bottom pipe, and a parent object to hold them together. Let's start by right-clicking here and select Create Empty. Let's name it Pipe. Perfect. Now, by the way, make sure the transform is in the position 0, 0, and 0. You can do that by also right-click and selecting Reset. Perfect. So now inside pipe, we're going to select to the object, sprites, square. Let's name this top pipe. Perfect. Okay, so now we don't want to display a white square, right? We want to display a proper pipe. So please select, go to Assets, Flappy Bird Assets, Tiles, Tile 1, Pipe Style 1, make sure it's in multiple, okay? And click Open Sprite Editor. Perfect. Now with your mouse, I want you to draw a rectangle around the green pipe. Okay, this is the one that we're going to use in our game. So we are going to click Apply after you have done that. Perfect. So now we have our pipe here. Great. So now we can click the top pipe and we can drag and drop our green pipe to the sprites. Yes, really good, really good. All right. So now what I want you to do is to go to the position and basically put here a 4 because this is going to be a top pipe. And let's change the scale. Let's maybe put here say a 5 and a 5. Okay, it's looking good. Looking like a proper pipe. Great. Okay, so now what I want you to do is to select the top pipe and duplicate with Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V. Perfect. So now let's rename this to bottom pipe. Okay. So now what with selecting the bottom pipe, we are going to change the position. So now this is going to be -4. Yes. Great. So now it's at the bottom. Fantastic. Okay, so one thing that we still have to do is to make sure that when the bird collides with the pipe, something happens, right? So for that, if you remember on the first lesson, we need to add a collider to the pipe. Okay, so you can select the top pipe, add component, and in this case, we are going to select box collider 2D. Perfect. You can see how the green outline here, maybe I can go closer and show you. If I click, yes, edit collider, you can see a tiny outline here. So this is our collider. It's looking good so far, so I'm not going to touch it. Now we do the same with the bottom pipe. Add component, box collider 2D. Perfect. That's it. Now, and this is a new concept, we are going to transform the pipe into a prefab. A prefab is simply a blueprint. It's something that basically we can use to spawn multiple copies of the same game object. And at the same time, all those multiple copies will be depending on the prefab. So if you change the prefab, all the small copies, all the copies from that prefab will be changed as well. This is very useful because imagine you have 30 different pipes here. You don't want to go one by one if you want to change the color, right? So for that, a prefab, it's, yeah, Very, very useful. Okay, so to do that, we are going to create a new folder. Let's call prefab. And the only thing you have to do is to drag and drop our pipe, the parent object. Let's collapse this pipe, and you drag it here. Perfect. Now you have your first prefab. All right, let's move the pipes now. First thing I want you to do is to actually delete these pipes from the scene, because we are going to spawn the prefab in runtime, right? So we don't need it for now. You click assets, select scripts, and let's create a new script called pipe move. Okay, great. And the first thing I want you to do is to select our prefab, double click here. Now you are inside the prefab. Make sure that you are on pipe, and now let's add the script that we just created to our pipe. So select pipe and drag and drop pipe move here. Perfect, great. Now we can start adding code. Double click on pipe move, and we will see again a very familiar screen, which is very similar to the script we work on the first part, right? So in here, what we are going to do is we're going to create two different variables. We want to use the same strategy as we did on the first video. So we are going to make them private, but we're going to add the serialized field so we can tune them on the editor. So we can say private float speed, and this is going to be the speed of the pipes moving to the left. Okay, and we do the same thing. Actually, let's maybe do that later. Now in update, we want to actually move the pipe, right? And how can you move an object? It's very simple in Unity. So you just simply do transform, position, that's more, vector left, plus multiply by the speed and time delta. So what is going on here? So with vector 3 left, we are telling Unity, okay, move the pipe to the left, okay? And the speed is simply the speed that the pipe is going to use to move to the left. Nothing more than that. And now time delta time. This is a bit more complex. This is basically a way to tell Unity, okay, move the pipe at the same speed regardless of the number of frames that my game is moving at. Okay, so this is very useful because imagine I have a supercomputer and it runs the game at, I don't know, 400 frames per second, and you have a normal computer that runs the game at 200 frames per second. We don't want the game to perform differently, right? For two different users. That doesn't make any sense. So time delta time, what it does is basically makes the game frame independent. Okay, so this is very, very useful in this case. Cool. So let's test it out. We click here to move outside the prefab. Okay, now we're in the scene, and we click play. Oh, one thing we forgot. We forgot for the time being, we're going to spawn the pipes later at runtime, but for now, we can simply move the pipes to our scene, and maybe let's drag and drop them. No, here. Perfect. Let's maybe 0. Yeah, let's maybe do that for now. Okay, let's click play. Let's see what's happened. Okay, look at that. Now the pipe is moving. Yes. Oops. But look what's going on. It's moving all the way to the left, but we don't really want it anymore, right? After it goes outside our screen, because this is kind of consuming resources. So we don't want that, right? So let's fix that. Let's click stop. Let's go back to our script and let's create a new variable. Serialize fill. Let's name this left bound and let's maybe say minus 15. Okay, so now we go to the update and say if the position of the pipe in the x-axis is lower than the left bound, destroy the game object. Okay, so this basically means that if the pipe is over here, because let me show you what's, let's move the pipe to minus 15 to show you. Oops, wait a second. No, I'm changing the wrong axis. Sorry about that. Let's change the x-axis, minus 15. Yes, perfect. So you see, when the pipe is outside of our screen, on the position minus 15 on the x-axis, then basically we want to destroy it because it's not useful anymore, right? It's consuming resources. We don't want that. So yeah, this is it. Let's test it out. Oh, again, we want to move back the pipe so where it was, right? So yes, let's do it here. Yes. Let's click play. Okay. Oops. Let's see if it gets destroyed. Yes, it was destroyed. Perfect. This is what we want. Fantastic. Good job. Okay, so now we know that our pipe moves. Okay, and this is great, but yeah, it's only one pipe, right? We want to have more obstacles, so the game is a bit more fun, right? So for that, we're going to create a pipe manager object, okay, which will be in charge of spawning pipes so the bird can go through them, okay? So let's do that. I don't think we'll need the pipe here anymore, so we are going to delete it. No worries, the prefab is properly safe, so no worries about that. Let's click right click, create empty, and let's create an object called pipe manager. Cool, perfect. Let's now go back to assets, select scripts, and let's create a new script called pipe manager. Perfect. We do the same thing as before. We select the pipe manager and we drag and drop the pipe manager script to it. By the way, one thing I want you to notice is that the pipe manager has a transform which is minus 24, 1.7. We don't want that, right? We want to have 0, 0, 0 by default. So we right click here and click reset. Perfect. That's it. Let's now add the functionality. Okay, so we double click on the pipe manager and we enter the script. Let's first of all create a variable that's going to hold the prefab, right? The pipe. So let's do that. Serialize private game object pipe prefab. Perfect. Something like that. Yes. And what we need, I don't think we need the start method. So we're going to delete it to clean this up. Perfect. So now in the update, what do we have to do? One thing we need. We need a few more things. So we need basically a spawn rate, okay, in terms of seconds. So let's say serialize field private float spawn rate in seconds. Okay, let's maybe say each 2 seconds we want to spawn a pipe. Okay, let's also create a private, because we don't need to modify this in the editor, private float timer that it's going to keep track of the seconds that have passed. Okay, timer 0. Perfect. So now in the update, okay, because we want this code to be execute constantly. Okay, we want this code we want to spawn pipes all the time, right? So what we can do is say timer time.deltaTime. So basically this will keep track of the time, okay? And we say if timer is bigger or equal the spawn rate in seconds, okay? So basically if the time has passed, okay, and it's time to spawn a new pipe, then we reset the timer because the pipe is already spawned, and we spawn the pipe. So we can do it here. So we can say instantiate pipe prefab. Okay. We can say new vector 3. And we can say, okay, from where in the x-axis we want the pipe to spawn. Probably, let's say maybe 10 if that's a good value. Let's see why if 0 here is fine. We're going to tune these values, no worries. And then we say quaternion identity. So quaternion identity, it's a way to basically tell Unity, okay, we don't want any rotation in our object. Okay, if you're interested, quaternion is a very interesting topic, but very complex at the same time. So feel free to have a look if you want. Okay, so let's test this out. One thing we have to do, by the way. So if you click on Pipe Manager, the Pipe Prefab, here it says none. So that means that we have to inject our prefab. So just click Prefabs here and drag and drop your pipe to the Pipe Prefab here. Perfect. That should be it. Let's click play. Look at that. So pipes are being spawned. Yes, it's working. Fantastic. Oops. Okay. All right. That's great. Cool. So now it works. Let's go back to our script to improve it. So one of the first thing I see here that it doesn't look too nice is that we are hard coding this value here. We wanted to make it changeable, right, on the editor, just so we can see how we can improve our game while it plays, for example. So to do that, we create a new variable, serialize field private float start x, and let's say no, -10, no, 10. Okay, so we just simply replace this. Perfect. Another thing I noticed is that right now our pipes, they all have the same height, right? And this is not very fun. Let's change that. Let's create a new variable, serialize field private float height range, and let's say 2, for example. The way that we can tell Unity, okay, make it sort of random, the next pipe. So we want the next pipe to be higher than the previous one or lower. Okay. You can do that by using the random range function. So we can say float y random range. Exactly. Random range minus height range. Height range. So in this case will be -2, comma 2. Okay, so it will be a range between -2 and 2. Okay. So yeah, one thing we have to do is to, of course, use the variable that we just created. Okay, cool. That should be it. Let's go back to the game. And now we should see the pipes having different. Yeah, perfect. So they have different position. Yeah, there is something I don't like too much, which some pipes are like floating, which doesn't look too good, but we can solve that very quickly. Let's stop. Let's open the pipe prefab by double click. Let's zoom it. Okay, great. Now what we can do is to increase this like this. Also the bottom pipe like perfect. So now if we click here, we need to actually save it. Perfect. Let's click play. And now we shouldn't see that problem anymore. Perfect. Now it's a bit more consistent and they don't look like they're floating, basically. Cool. Perfect. Great. So the last thing we have to do is to display a game over log after the bird touches either the floor, the ground, or a pipe. Okay. And this is going to be very, very simple. Let's go to assets, scripts, and bird. Let's open it. Cool. This is where we left it on part number 1. We're going to create a new function called private void. Exactly. On collision enter 2D. Okay? Perfect. Yes. What does this function do? This is a function that it's provided by Unity. You can hover and it will tell you a few details. But basically, it's very simple. It's simply when this object, the bird, collides with another object, game object, then it will enter here. So we can do the test. We can say debug log colliding. Oops. Well, perfect. Let's test it out. Let's click play. Okay, let's collide with. Oh, colliding! Ah, colliding. Yes. All right, colliding with the ground and the pipe. Okay. All right, so it's working. So what we want to do is basically display a game object message. Game over. So let's say game over. Yes. Perfect. So let's play it and see. Okay. Okay, going through the first one. Oh, I touched it. Perfect. Game over. But the bird is still moving, which is not ideal, right? So let's fix that. Let's say maybe we freeze everything, right? After it's game over, we can freeze everything. We can say time scale 0. This is a way to tell Unity, okay, freeze completely the scene. and the game. Don't do anything else. All right. Let's see if that works. All right. We are flying. Flying. Pop. Game over. That's it. You see, everything is frozen. I cannot move. I cannot do anything. So yeah, it's working. Okay, you made it. Congrats. In the next video, we are going to start working on the UI of the game. It's going to be very simple. We're going to show a pop-up when the game ends, when it's game over, and we're going to keep track of a very basic score system. And we're going to show in the pop-up and also maybe in the top left, why not, the score of the player. All right, thank you for watching and see you in the next one.